Hello, beautiful people. Hi, it's Courtney. Good to be with you. You might hear sounds. It is Sunday afternoon and it's a beautiful day, so there's all sorts of sounds. All sorts of sounds. Everybody's working on their yard. Um, Good to be with you. Hello, everyone who has joined. Um, that might be Kay watching. Thank you, Kay. Uh, This message today, it is our weekly goal. I am still trying to organize my schedule here, people. And I'm trying to just completely dismiss when there's noise, just gotta do what I gotta do. So, and I am definitely realizing going live is a thing. So, today's message though, this weekly goal, we were we were going to start and we're still going to start. This week we are going to go into the archons. Um, that's going to be kind of crazy. At least a beginning of the archons off of that Sophia message that we did. I'm also this tonight. I'm hoping tonight I'm going to read. Just read. I'm just going to read and let it be there for you. The Initiates of the Flame by Manly P. Hall. I'm a huge fan of Manly P. Hall, and this is one of his first. This is his very first publication. He was like 21. Oh my goodness, 21 or 27, something like that. He was such a baby. Um, Sorry to all those that are 21 or 27. Um, I've had such an interesting week, and parts of that I'm going to share with you because it is a part of this message, and it's just been very things that I have heard people say this week literally have blown my mind as if I've never heard anything like that out of anyone's mouth. It's just been, and it kind of happened a lot. So I think it was setting me up for this message. Um, but it took a lot for me to just get that out. Like it was just, I'll go into it. Um, so we were going to start, and we're going to working with the seven deadly sins because we're still kind of in cause and effect. Everything's cause and effect. And when we really wrap our heads around that, we're going to move on up the ladder of the Hermetic principles that all is mind. And I personally do want to stay in cause and effect because I know we all essentially understand what that means. Especially because, we learn it in everything. We learn it in history, English, science, math. I mean, it's all sorts of cause and effect. That's a sound. Sorry about that. But we really have to wrap our heads around how that plays out in our life. Because even though we're conscious of it, we were to really ingrain that concept into us is needed, is definitely needed. So I figured, okay, we're going to go from to keep moving forward with that concept, look at the seven deadly sins with weekly goals and what have you. Well, for all of you that watch, that definitely know, thank you, all of my 34, 35 subscribers. I love you dearly. You guys know that when I do a weekly goal, I usually get some form of person or scenario or story from the Akashic Records. And once again, I was there, I think Friday or something for myself. And at the end, I was like, should I even do a weekly goal? I got all this other stuff going on. And they said, oh, yeah. And here you go. Here's your things to look at. And it was, they gave me the name Peter O'Toole. And I was like, I only know of the actor. And they're like, yeah, just research. Do your job, Courtney. Just research. And then they said, and we want you to look at Peter Pumpkin Eater. And I was like, what are all these Peters? I'm not getting it. I'm not like, okay. And they were like, Courtney, just do your research. This is your job. This is what we do for you. This is your job. You got to tie it all in together. And I was like, okay, fine, fine. This is how, when I do readings for other people, it's very this, black and white, do, or very metaphorical, do. With me, they work with me that way. So I can, honestly, I prefer it that way. I do. I prefer me having to seek out than just being spoon-fed information. I don't like it. So, mixed in with this concept of seven deadly sins and cause and effect, I want to introduce also the scale of consciousness. Any of you can look it up. Maybe I'll try to put something below here. Um, the the scale of consciousness. Stephen Hawkins actually introduced this. It's all based on vibration and frequency. It gives a number to our scale of consciousness of where are you when you are in this, when you are in anger, pride, envy, gluttony, sloth, whatever. When you are in that, what number are you at on your consciousness? And then keep going up the scale. Love is at 500, peace is at, 600, enlightenment's at 700 and above. And that is all we can all understand that through frequency levels, right? We talk so much about getting our vibes up, and there's literally a scale we can use. And so I'll post something about, because we're going to keep going back to that scale, okay? Because if the point is to heighten our consciousness and keep moving up and keep going up with frequency and conscious levels, well, then we got to look at it. And we got to look at what's at the bottom, because we don't want to be at the bottom. We want to be up by the 500-600 mark, right? Well, when I was looking at, and this was some time ago, I always found it interesting that going up the scale, there's some really at the bottom, like, sloth and stuff. It's low. It's gluttony. It's low. And we're going to talk about it. But with what they gave me, O'Toole and Peter Pumpkin Eater, clearly it was pride. And then also the week that I had. So I'm going to use examples. It was always interesting to me that when you go up the scale, let's look at anger. Anger is at 150. I'm telling you, that is low vibration. Low vibration. Right after that is pride at 175. Pride at 175. What was always interesting to me, though, is courage is right after pride. Going up the scale, and you're at 200. And I always thought that was very interesting, because we put in our minds, courage tends to be so much higher in our minds. I don't think on a normal everyday, if we went out there and recorded people, hey, how high on a scale do you think courage is? Most people will put it way up at the top, right? But it's right next to pride. So there's got to be some kind of thin line there. There's got to be some kind of defining, is this courage that I'm in, or is this pride? And that's the question. What are we actually in? Because I think that line is pretty thin. And of course we think of courage in ways of war, ways of protection, or courage to, go to that job interview. something of self-preservation in a way. And it being so close to pride, we got to look at it. We got to look at all this. And it's very interesting that anger is also right below pride. Anger, pride, courage. That's the evolution, though, that we can go up, right? There was a video. Was there a video? There was a blog. I'll tell you, there was a blog at starsofthemorninglight.com that you can go read about ascension anger. And I put in a beautiful Cherokee story to kind of explain that idea. So it's interesting that those two are boom, boom, boom. And you guys, I do want to say too, I've talked about the word humble, and humble would be the reverse, the opposite of pride, right? Let's just make it real easy. I'm trying to keep things so easy. I love being easy. Keep it simple, keep it simple. Let's not complicate. When we want to think about, okay, so if I'm being in pride, which is low on the scale, okay, how do I, oppose that? Normally people would say be humble. Humble, to just be easy with it. I love the saying that humility or humble is not thinking less of ourselves. It's just thinking less of ourselves, thinking of ourselves less. It's not bringing ourselves down again, because that's actually pride. It's ego. It's not thinking less of ourselves. It's just thinking of ourselves less. That's it. Just thinking of ourselves less. So, before I continue, I'm gonna say one thing that happened to me this week that I guess ignited also all this thought. So this past week, that storm that happened in Louisiana, bless them. We have to send all good, positive vibes and get our vibes up for them, the land, all of it. Well, I'm here in northern Georgia, right under, I'm at the Georgia-Tennessee border. And there was wind that I had never seen here before. I had never experienced it before. And please understand, if it was like that here, I cannot even imagine what it was like down in Louisiana and down there on the coast. So with that, though, we had a lot of branches, a lot of trees, a lot of things that happened. And a big tree fell from one neighbor's yard into another, breaking the transformer to our power, all sorts of stuff. So it was a long week regardless, right? Well, the following day, I'm out helping clean up, helping neighbors that can't help themselves, really. I'm still young enough to get around and help pick up, clean up. And as I was doing that, I was doing it in one neighbor's yard that does not so much get along with another neighbor. And it was the other neighbor that it was her tree that fell. Well, that other neighbor walked up to me when I was out there working by myself, just doing what I'm doing, to come ask for contact for somebody else in the neighborhood because of damage. And as she walked up to me, to this neighbor's house that I'm working at that she does not care for, she said, "What are you doing?" I responded with, "I'm helping." And she pretty much rolled her eyes. She kind of rolled her eyes like, "What?" And I said, "I'm helping. It's what you do." Kind of period, right? It's just what you do, regardless of how you feel which way or another about someone. It's what you do in times. And so I repeated again, "I'm helping. It's what you do." And she just, what? Ugh. one of those. I had never experienced that. I had never It's one thing for someone to dislike someone else and not be willing to help. That's, we all know that. It's one thing to maybe have a different opinion. I've never had anyone actually verbalize in such a dramatic way that they're pretty much disgusted by me helping another human. Um, I just had never experienced that. Most of the time, even if you disagree, you keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? You don't say anything. She was very dramatic about just me helping. And that threw me off. Like I said, I might have experienced that maybe from one other being in my life. And I don't even think that person was person. Yeah. So that was understandable. This, not understandable. And it just rubbed me so wrong. And there were some other interactions this week that related to the same kind of thing. That's like, I really had to question, is that where our society's at? Just because you might not get along with this person, you're not going to help them if they need help. So, pride versus courage, right? Yeah, it was really, really sad. Um, and then they gave me, the following morning, Peter O'Toole, who was a lovely human. He actually was a good guy. I liked him. I never really learned much about him. I just knew he was a great actor, and I really liked his accent. For all those that are over on the other side of the pond, yes, we enjoy your accents over here. Um, but it wasn't so much him, it was the name O'Toole that I had to look into. And then when I looked at Peter Pumpkin Eater, holy goodness, that is one of the most terrifying nursery rhymes ever. And I don't think we noticed that. It's terrifying. And it was like, okay. So let's get into it. Pride versus courage. What are we gonna do? My dad used to say to me all the time growing up, all the time. He was really trying to drive it home. He would say, Courtney, if this whole shit house, or no, he didn't say even if. He said, this whole shit house is going to go up in flames and I won't be here. So what are you going to do about it? Or he would say, something, this whole world's going to go to hell in a handbasket. I won't be here. So what are you going to do about it? I was asked that question repeatedly as a child because I needed to know what I was going to do about it. And I guess maybe that's what I'm posing to everybody else right now. Because pride is really circulating its way back through. It, in my opinion, it was full on there before 2020. 2018, 2019. It was as if it was all I saw. Me, I got to get here. It's mine, it's mine, it's me. And then the world started to change and we all got back to understanding what's important. And now it seems to be going back a bit back to me and mine. So what are you going to do about it? Let's start with Peter Pumpkin Eater. Let's really look at this for a minute. This is insane. There are two different versions of this as well. I'm just going to say the first one. Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife but couldn't keep her, put her in a pumpkin shell and kept her very well. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater, had another but didn't love her. So up the chimney he did shove her. Okay, so many believe that this story is that Peter Peter had a wife who was also a prostitute, or he couldn't maybe satisfy her, so she was out playing around with other people. And so he chopped her up and put her in a big old pumpkin. We have no idea if he ate her or, I mean, it's definitely murder. It's murder either way. Um, and then he got married again, and he didn't love that one, and so he shoved her up a chimney. Yeah, Peter Peter is a sick dude and murdering his wives because obviously he just didn't like what they were doing. That's some pride. And what's interesting is then, of course, modern world changed up the last little bit all entirely. Why they didn't change the fact that he put his wife in a pumpkin in the first place, I don't know. But then they went from, okay, Peter Peter pumpkin eater had a wife and couldn't keep her, put her in a pumpkin shell and kept her very well. I do believe that was to try to tell us wives and boys, and, yeah, if you're messing around, if you're caught, it's okay. It's okay to basically lock them up into a pumpkin shell. Pumpkins are a very symbolic thing back in the day. You could see it all over the place. Um, but then it changed to, instead of shoving his next wife up the chimney, to Peter Peter pumpkin eater had another but didn't love her. Peter learned to read and spell, and then he loved her very well. So then he took another wife, and instead of shoving her up the chimney, she taught him how to read and spell. And so then he fell in love with her. Again, he loved her. What? So, what? So I think that's also then trying to teach us as young children, you become a better person and not marry or murder your spouse if you learn how to read and spell. If you get some education within you, you're going to know murder is a bad thing. Maybe that's the whole point. Get some education, start learning some stuff, and you're going to know, don't do that. And when I was reading this stuff, I was just like, what? What? I guess that, you don't pay attention because, you're like in kindergarten when you hear this. You're in kindergarten when you're hearing Peter Peter pumpkin eater had a wife and couldn't keep her, put her in a pumpkin shell and kept her very well. As a child, I don't think I was thinking murder, but I know I was thinking, well, damn, he locked her up in some kind of pumpkin. Okay. Yeah, I know I had that thought as a 5-year-old. And then I had to look up Peter O'Toole, who, like I said, he was a lovely human being, but it wasn't him that I had to focus on. It was the O'Toole clan. That is a very, very old name. Ireland, it's an Irish name. And so then it was then vast Irish history, which I know a lot about. I mean, I come from an Irish family. I'm married to an Irishman. So, to quickly kind of state this, O'Toole is a very old name, and it actually was attached to a royal family. But this is like the 900s, guys. I mean, this is long, long ago. Well, as we know, in at that time, late 900s, 1000s, the English, well, actually Rome, whatever, Rome and England decided to, we're going to send like bishops over to Ireland and to try to just maintain and control these wild humans over there, because Irish people were just all criminals in their minds. So they were sending, the Knights Templar was still in effect. And then they decided, okay, we're going to send bishops over there. And the bishops were really like, crowd control. Yeah, they were the enforcers. Yeah, kind of scary, huh? Um, well, then, of course, as many of you, I don't know the age of viewers here, but I grew up in the 80s still watching the IRA bombing places and this and that. I mean, I grew up with knowing a lot of the history. And it's from, I mean, back then, the poor Irish people were under the English control. Well, though Tools, who had been in that world forever, and even were descendants of Irish royalty, they were a part of, I guess, what you would say, different clans that even if they were warring at times, they would come together to fight the British. One of them later around the 1600s, early 1600s, I believe it was called the Confederate Kilkenny, which really does talk about, and there's so many horrible battles. I mean, they didn't win, guys. I mean, here's the thing. Usually most battles, whoever has more manpower wins. That's it. Just more lives. Just more people. That's the truth of the matter. That's really the truth. That's how America has always kind of won. We just had more men. That's it. Unfortunately. So the O'Tooles, though, they were a part of the O'Toole clan, were a part of all these other clans like the O'Brien, all of them, that when push came to shove, even if they fought against each other, they would come together to fight the British. And as I was reading this, it reminds me so much of the area that I live now. When I first moved down here, I'd be driving around trying to, learn the area or go to X, Y, and Z. And you see all these signs that say, the Trail of Tears, the Trail of Tears. And then we have, the Chickamauga River. We have the Chickamauga battlefield. We have the Chickamauga, we have a town called that. And as I was researching, I learned, yes, the Trail of Tears essentially really started here. And it's interesting that if you look at a map, if I stepped out of my door right now and I took a left and I just kept walking, yeah, I'd be in Oklahoma. What happened there, though, is that, we took all of the natives, and think of just the East Coast. We took all of them from the upper East Coast, brought them down, took them all from the lower East Coast, brought them up, and everybody was here now, the ones that were still alive, and they brought them all here. So all of these were native tribes that they might have fought each other, they might have not. But at that time, they kind of reformed their own brand in a way, coming together, Chickamauga, and said, hey, even if we have fought for hundreds of years, we now have a bigger thing to fight. We now have they swallowed their pride and said, we got to work together to fight this white man. And one of the last, the battle that really took place at Chickamauga was, and that was kind of the nail in the coffin, as they then were very much sent out to Oklahoma. I get very emotional. There are reasons. My spirit is very native. There's reasons why I moved down here. And same though with the Irish, the O'Tooles. It was the same exact thing. Okay, our clans have been fighting for hundreds and hundreds of years, but now we got something bigger. We got this British stuff going on here. We got to come together. All of these clans, tribes, people, groups of people have had to drop their pride. Drop the whole, okay, it's just me and mine. It's just me and my clan. It's just me and my tribe. They've had to drop that and work together to fight against a bigger evil. And that's one of the aspects of pride and courage being so close together. So close together. Because we spend so much time going, me, mine, and I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of what's going on here. I got to take care of this. I got to take care of that. I'm not going to help a neighbor that is not capable of picking up all this wood because we've had some words in the past. It's all so much pride, pride, pride. I'm better than you. You're better. Like it's just nuts. It's just nuts when they're throughout history, Irish, Native, it doesn't matter where you go with it. I mean, anywhere. Asian, it doesn't matter. You will see tribes of people, groups of people coming together, dropping pride to then have courage to work together to go against a bigger force. It's so interesting that if we just drop a little bit of pride, we're then all of a sudden bumped into courage. Pride is attached to our ego, and our ego is always going to want to survive for itself if it's out of balance and out of control. It will always tell you, I'm better than them. I'm top dog, and even if I'm not top dog, I'm still better than them. Right. And the extreme of pride is Peter Pumpkin Eater, who, well, he had a wife and he couldn't keep her, so there might have been something going on with Peter too that he didn't want to recognize, and that pride and ego led to him killing her because she needed to go elsewhere to be satisfied. And then he had another wife that he was like, I just don't love you, so I'm going to shove you up a chimney. That is the extreme. That's the extreme. That's the extreme pride. But I have to say, all these little things that I've been hearing all week and that I've seen, and even when people, I didn't even know about the toilet paper until well after the fact, but stuff like that. So that's that thin line. You're either an extreme pride where no one else means anything to you, like Peter Pumpkin Eater, which I have witnessed. It's coming back around in full circle, and it's based out of fear, and we need to stop. We need to stop. Or are we just riding that little thin line of pride to courage when it's still, well, them people over there, or I'm awakened and that person's not awakened, so clearly I know better. I don't know. I don't understand that. We have to be very careful of what we say, what we do. Is our pride preventing us from coming together as a unit, as a whole? because of some ridiculous notion we have, or we had a beef with that person, or we had a beef with those people, or the world says that they hate us, so then I hate them. We really got to concentrate on this. What is our ego telling us that's wrapped up in really disgusting pride, when really all we have to do is drop that and just, man, it's one level up, is courage. One level up. That's it. That's it. It's not like courage as we would kind of, if we're not looking at the scale, we go, man, courage is probably way up there. I don't know how to find my courage. I don't know what to do. Just drop your pride. It is that easy. So this has been one of the weirdest messages. I mean, when they gave me a bunch of Peters, I was like, what? But then looking at the scale, anger 150, pride 175, courage 200. I mean, they're only 25 degrees apart, or what have you, elevation apart. And learning about the O-tools. I don't think I knew that, because I know the O'Briens. I know my husband's a McMahon. I mean, it's we were, well, I won't put my mother's maiden name out there, but you know what I'm saying. It's I knew about them, but I didn't know the O-tools were a part of it, and they were very much part of it. And honestly, they were a feared clan for a good long while. And they were willing to drop their pride to come together with other clans, and vice versa. So that is our kind of weekly goal. Looking at these 7 deadly sins, looking at this as in cause and effect. The more we operate in pride and not even get to the level of courage, I mean, I think that's really kind of where a lot of people are right now. The more we operate there, that is just perpetuating, just moving the whole cause and effect. It's just ongoing and ongoing. And I found it interesting, like a week and a half ago or so, every meme, every post out there was about ego and pride, because of our leaders, because of this, because of that, whatever. Everybody was feeling it. It's going on. It's coming around again. Most things do circle around every 3 years. But it's up to us to go, now I have to learn about my pride. I have to learn about my ego. Where am I too prideful? Where is it that I'm basically, because Christ says it all over the Bible, that if we're murdering somebody in our mind, it's the same as murdering them in the flesh. If I'm talking all this mad smack about somebody, I'm basically doing that to their face. I'm destroying them. You see what I'm saying? It's all the same. So now we have to look. We have to look at where's our ego preventing us to have the courage to then move even higher up the scale of consciousness. I know, weird message. But that's going to be my weekly goal, because it's not like, I mean, I'm sure I still have pride in various forms and ways. I'm sure I still have certain aspects about myself that keep me separated from other people and places and things. I'm sure I still have some of that, even though I keep my ego in check. Pride is also its own force, it's its own frequency. And I might have courage, but maybe that's all just because I'm a Leo, and I was kind of born with it. Where's my true courage? These are all questions I'm going to ask myself, and I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. Never. I've told every one of my students from back when I was working with, and then, inner city kids from Chicago or, other students, it does not matter. I will never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So I'm going to spend some time with this week. Because here's the thing, like when that neighbor turned to me and was like, "Why are you helping?" Ugh, ugh. Do not think I did not have some judgments about her then. Therefore, that is also tied up into my pride. You see? So I'm going to be going through the same process, learning to check my pride so I can have courage to help others, grow with others, unity with others. It really is time that we come together. It's not about me and mine no more. It's about the higher consciousness of all is mind. And if I can help transmute, change whatever the cause and effect that's going on currently, then that's my part. Then that's what I can do. So I urge you guys to try to do that yourselves. Let's look at where our pride is stopping. Where's our pride stopping our individual courage to step out and start doing the things that we know we want to do in life? Where is it preventing me from speaking with others, being kind to others, letting go of the judgment of others? What's in me? Is it fear-based? Is it because I was raised that way? Is it, what is it within me? So like I said, hopefully tonight I will be reading from the Initiates of the Flame from Manly P. Hall. So that should be out there tomorrow. The rendering thing is an issue. And then I will be back, I'm hoping Wednesday, to then start talking about the archons that control a lot of this as well. So, my lovely fellow humans, I'm happy you're here. I'm happy that you're listening and you're taking in this stuff. I'm also happy that you're on this journey with me of self-enlightenment and also helping others by being a living example. If we can check our pride, there's going to be other people around us that we can get, when we say, "Hey, check yourself," they'll listen because they will have seen that you did it and how it changed your life. So, weekly goal for the first week of April, pretty much. And I honestly, that's great because that Aries new moon and all sorts of healing going on in other ways. We got fire and healing happening. Let us really examine the ego and pride within us so we can move forward in courage. We need to get up that scale, folks. We really do. So I love you all. Have a lovely, wonderful week and be here again. I believe I will be here Wednesday live. Not exactly sure about the time, but I will be here. I am trying to form the schedule currently. You are all beautiful and you are all wonderful. And like I said, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And we can do this. We can do it together. I love you all. Namaste.